We're going to look at the odds with the Sick Kid Lotto. So we got this wonderful package in the mail, and the odds they tell us are 1 in 2 odds. Awesome. That looks amazing. It literally, at my first glance, seems to me like I got a 50% chance of winning in this lottery. Okay? That's not quite what it is, and that's why they write things in odds. They can be a little bit deceiving. Now, we have a whole bunch of the prizes, and here's the big list of prizes. All the things you can win, blah, blah, blah. And we added them up, plus the draw, 50,310, tons and tons of them. Before we get into that, let's talk about what odds are. The probability of event A happening, okay, is an important thing. And the probability, and I think they would write it as maybe this. They write it kind of like this with it? Yeah, okay. Probability of event A not happening. Let's say event A is rolling a die, okay? And event A is getting 1, okay? Getting the 1 on the die. Well, you get, if you know your dice, there's usually 6 sides of them, and we'll say it's a standard die, you have a 1 in 6 chance. The probability of not event A, well, that's the probability of getting everything else, okay? Everything else, well, there's 5 other sides, so there's a 5 in 6 chance of that happening. Well, the odds, okay, and they talk about in favor or against. In favor of A, probability of A, is actually a fraction, okay? And it's the probability of A divided by the probability of event A not happening. Have you seen it written that way?
No.
No, you haven't seen it written this way? Okay. Let me take a look. You guys write it. And just a side note, always remember that the probability of event A plus the probability of event A not happening always equal 100%. Okay? So 1 over 6 plus 5 over 6, well, if you know your fraction addition, it becomes 6 over 6, which is 100%. So we know we're okay with the way we've made our odds. Now, let's talk about that die again. Probability of A. Well, the probability of A was 1 in 6, and this fraction thing means division, divided by 5 over 6. Okay, so that's the odds in favor of A. And we're just going to say probability of odds. Okay, not sure how to write that on the left. So 1 over 6 divided by 5 over 6. When we divide fractions, okay, we can actually turn it into a multiplication question. We invert the second fraction and we multiply the two. So we now have 1 over 6 times, okay, and we flip it, it becomes 6 over 5. And now when you multiply the fractions, you just do the top by the top and the bottom by the bottom. That's our fraction rules, okay? Because odds are usually written as a fraction or a ratio. So we're going to keep it. We don't want to write it as a decimal or a percentage like we normally do. So 1 times 6 is 6, and 6 times 5 is 30, okay? And I can reduce this to a 1 in 5 chance. So the odds of rolling a 1 are 1 to 5. And your odds, if reduced to lowest terms, sometimes turn out to be, adding the two values together will tell you the total number of possibilities. 1 plus 5 are 6. There's 6 possibilities on the die. Okay, so with that being said, our odds in favor of winning a ticket here, okay? And then you can say odds against, and that would just invert this concept. We have the event of not happening over happening. You can still calculate again. It's against would be the opposite word of in favor. But Sick Kid's Lottery, 1 in 2 odds, which really means there are kind of 3. Think of it as if there's 3 tickets being sold. Just like we talked about the 1 in 5 here. And there's 6 total outcomes. Well, a 1 in 2, like think of it like there's 3 total outcomes. You have 1 odds in favor of 1 in 3 of winning, and 2 in 3 of not winning, right? So let's use that probability, see if we get the same odds. Ooh, I go all the way down here. If it's a 1 in 3 chance in favor of, okay, and we said it's a 2 in 3 chance of against, okay, remember they have to add up, and when we add them together, we get 3 and 3, so that works out really good. But to calculate odds in favor of winning, we divide the values, okay, so we have 1 over 3 divided by 2 over 3, okay, And like we said, we invert and multiply for our fractions. So it's 1 over 3 times 3 over 2 over, where's the number? Right, here we go. 2 is equal to, well, this becomes 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And your odds are, when reduced, 1 over 2, or 1 in 2 odds. Okay? So, not quite a 50% chance winning. In fact, your percentage is more like a 33% chance. And that means, okay, if there are, the idea of there being 3, if there are this many prizes and your odds are 1 in 2, but think of it as if there's 3 total outcomes, right? Because we said the odds in favor are 1 in 3, odds against are 2 and 3. 1 plus 2 is the idea of 3, like 3 total tickets. If there's this many prizes, we need to multiply this number by 3 to figure out how many total tickets there are. So we take that, room up at the top? Yeah, I do. 50,310, and we multiply by the 3 total incomes. And on our other 2 events, we discovered it becomes 150,930. Okay? That's a lot of tickets. That means if Sick Kid Lotto, they usually sell tickets at $100 a ticket. There's some other reductions, but let's say they sold every ticket at that price. That means they multiply this value by 100, which means you're looking at about $150,930,000, almost $151 million in tickets. That's great. That's be great money for charity. Okay, but that's how odds can sometimes be confusing.